Another beautiful sunrise to start day 7 of our road trip off right. When Joan and Ellie woke up, we did some swimming, then off to a boat tour on the river. Lots of birds, a brief manatee sighting, and dolphins. Amazing as they all came right up to the boat to visit Joan. It was a big bucket list item for me, so I spent more time looking and being a dad than filming. After a wading and swimming stop at a little island, we headed back, seeing the friendly dolphins again, but playing in the distance. It was a beautiful afternoon, but I do have to admit some more tire abuse. As we were looking for the place, I found this bad boy for a jarring experience. Luckily, before lunch we had found the nearby service center, as they were getting some deliveries. No service required, but glad to know it was there. Another evening beach walk to cap off the day. We had planned to have breakfast at the Waffle House, but I forgot it was Saturday morning and it was super busy. There was a line out the door. So we decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and get our charge that we're going to need tomorrow and eat a little breakfast picnic style. We're just having a little breakfast here outside the Winn-Dixie. You can kind of see it through the trees there. Alright, just charged up to 90%, almost 10 a.m. on Saturday at Rockledge Supercharger. You can kind of see the Winn-Dixie from here. This will be enough to get us driving around today, get us to the airport, and then our next charge after dropping Ellie off. The rest of the day was soaking up the sun, sand, and surf. Then one more beach walk before cleaning, packing, and bed. I caught one more quiet sunrise before loading the car and the start of the trip home. Alright, late for the airport, 2,090 miles, 8:05 a.m., 74%, let's roll. Good morning, we are just leaving Cocoa Beach, went over the Banana River. We're about to go over the Indian River and head to the airport. Can you say bye-bye to the water? It was a beautiful sunrise this morning. Unfortunately, the last one on the beach for a while, but it's alright. By the time we get home, I'm sure we'll be happy to be home, despite the snow. We'll catch you at our first stop after the airport. Alright, we just did the drop-off. Got Mom to her terminal. And now we are on our way up to Atlanta. I guess that means we're officially on the home stretch. Tough to leave the beach behind. The car is saying we'll get to Atlanta at about 4:30. So I wish I would have planned more driving today. It's too early to stop. We've got the hotel booked and paid for, so we're kind of stuck with that. But that just means tomorrow's going to be a harder day than it needs to be. But we'll take it easy this afternoon, maybe find something fun to do, and get some good sleep. This last night was a short night. Pretty good efficiency this morning, 106 miles of range. We should get to our first charge of the day with 16%. Loving these warm weather efficiencies. I'm ready for summer in Minnesota. As we follow along on the map north, I'm continuing this trip line in red. Our 2020 trip from Orlando will be mapped beside it in blue, so you can see the difference in stops by the circles along the route. We'll focus on the red as we go, but once we're home, we'll compare the stats, stops, and charging times between the vehicles. So for now, focus on the red. Almost to Ocala, or Ocala. I can never remember how to say that. And Joan and I have been here before. When we did the Frunkful of Diapers trip in 2020, we stopped at this one. We've been in the car for about 2.5 hours, so getting out for a stretch will be nice. Alright, total distance on the trip is 2,228 miles. And since our last charge, 160 miles at 284 watt-hours per mile. Got 15% here. It's 10:21. Saying we need about 25 minutes here. That's good. That'll give us a chance to stretch out, use the restroom, and get back here. This is one of those V2 stations that has been used and abused, but still working. I think we're gonna charge. Yep, here we go. Okay, now that we're down one traveler, we can kind of spread some stuff out a little bit more. Empty out some of the back seat and get the snacks and gear all accessible from the front seat. There's a good restaurant right near the superchargers, but I hate to stop in places like that if we're only using the restrooms. So Joan and I walked around the strip mall to Barnes & Noble, used the restroom there, and looked for a new book for the drive home. It was a good choice because we were lucky enough to see a Polestar 2 in the wild. Not sure if there are CCS chargers around or if they were just out shopping, but cool to happen across it. But after I stopped ogling other EVs, we were soon back at the car and unplugging. We got back up to 92% in the 42 minutes we were there, and our next stop will be in Georgia. There must be a rule in Florida that if you have a pickup truck and a trailer, you have to stay in the center lane and not go with the flow of traffic. It is just unreal how many pickups or semis or campers towing things just live in the center lane going 3 to 5 miles an hour slower than everyone. And of course this really screws with the flow of traffic. And there are 3 lanes. It should be easy. It's a minor annoyance and an otherwise easy day of driving. Our next stop is Valdosta, Georgia. We get a supercharge there. We should get there a little after 1 p.m. We stopped and got some Mickey D's, some nuggets for Joni Pie, and we're just cruising north, listening to some tunes. Alright, 2,370 miles into the trip, 142 since our last stop. We are down to 23%. Car thinks it has 54 miles left, but this is our stop. This is the Valdosta V3 supercharger. Nice to pull up to a new one and have it be V3. And charging quick. We only preconditioned for about 10 minutes or so, just a few miles away. This is a tough one to get into, you can see. I had to back in a couple times. There's a little marshland here. I was just gonna turn around and get a shot of the superchargers, but I don't want a gator to get me, so I'm looking here first. So that might be something to be aware of if you're here at night. Well, this is weird. I don't know why it's saying 0. We are charging. Maybe this is a new station that isn't in the network yet, or there's something else going on. I'll take it though. Okay, just charged 80%. It's enough to get on our way, but I'm gonna navigate to our actual hotel. Looks like it's figured out our next stop, Cordele, Georgia, and then get to the hotel at about 4:30. So we'll see if we can go to the Georgia Aquarium today, but we gotta get out of here before we get idle fees. Hello and welcome to Leftover Popcorn. We just left the V-word supercharger, I can't remember what it's called, and it says our next stop will be in Cordele, and that's going to be the only stop we need to make to get to our hotel. I'm either going to overcharge there or find another stop closer to Atlanta. We should have destination charging overnight, but I want to take her to the Georgia Aquarium, which is a pretty fantastic place. And if we're going to be around Atlanta that long, you know, tonight, we may as well do something cool, assuming it's still open. But I thought I saw it was open until 9 tonight. Seems late for a Sunday, but we'll take it if it's open. Driving-wise, nothing's changed. Efficiency is still pretty good, 330 watt-hours per mile, but we are going almost 80. We got some fluffy little Bob Ross clouds in the sky. And Joan's just had some M&Ms, now she's having some popcorn. So she is just living the high life of road trip snacks. Our last stop was a pretty nice little, I think they called it the Sun Stop, just a little travel center, gas station place. But the bathroom was relatively clean, friendly people working there, and just your basic snacks and supplies for being on the road. I think they did have a little fast food area in there. I didn't see what it was, but overall a nice stop, quick. We were a little longer than the car wanted to take, but not by too much. With V3 it goes so fast that by the time I got her shoes back on and we got out of the car, it was saying we only needed to be there 5 more minutes. So I'm sure it took longer than that, using the restroom and checking out and stuff like that. But we were at least closer. When we were in Ocala, as we walked to Barnes & Noble to use the restroom, we passed a Polestar 2. On this trip, we've seen a handful of Mustang Mach-E's, 2 or 3 of them, tons and tons of Teslas, a couple Volts. I think we've seen a Leaf or 2, and Florida is just littered with Teslas. And we got to see the service center on Merritt Island, so that was cool. Looks like they were, both times we drove by it, they had car carriers of Model Ys and a couple 3s on them, so people are getting their new cars. Speaking of which, while we were down here, a friend of mine just took delivery of his Mustang Mach-E up in Minnesota, so might be a while before I can get a look at that, but hoping to before too long. He seemed excited about it. I said I'd drive by his office and perv on it someday. Should be a fun summer of EVs. Kind of an interesting thing just happened. While we were near Tiffton, Georgia, a little box came on saying you have enough charge to complete your trip. And usually that comes up while you're charging, saying, hey, you can move out of the charging stall. But I was surprised that it just kind of seemed to pop up out of nowhere. And it might be just some weird glitch or something, but I feel like there may be a supercharger in Tiffton that we stopped at on our last run up this way. And if that's the case, that would kind of make sense, like, hey, you don't need to stop at that supercharger. You're covered until you get to Cordele. So that's interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on that and see if that pops up again. Could have just been a fluke. It could have been something that was supposed to pop up during our charging session and it didn't. Just decided, hey, better show that now. A little odd, but everything else is going swimmingly. Looks like we've got about a half hour till Cordele. Alright, our total distance on the trip. And our current trip, 87 miles, 340 watt hours per mile. It was almost all 80 miles an hour. But we got a supermarket here and a Sonic right there. So some options. There's Walgreens across the street. Alright, we're charging. This should be only a 15-minute stop. Do you want to get out? It's nice and cool. The sun is under some clouds, or we're under some clouds. So we dropped about 10 degrees from the last stop to this one, which feels good on the sunburn. Joan was a little surly at this stop. I think realizing that Mom was gone and we were done at the beach had started to sink in, along with some tiredness. The road that runs behind the superchargers is very close and busy. Be very careful when getting things in and out of your trunk, or if you've got small children with you. The grocery store was alright, but the restrooms were locked and they're kind of in an odd spot, so I'm not sure if it was occupied or not intended for customers. Well, once again, way overcharged. Yeah, we got plenty to keep going. We are showing 17% arrival at the Comfort Suites. McDonough should have destination charger there, and I don't think there's a supercharger too far away. So we've got options. Looks like we've got an hour and 47 minutes to go. We'll go check into the hotel and then make a plan from there. Really wish I would have planned for my wife's flight time better today. We could have made it another 2 or 3 hours today and gotten way further north. It'll be nice to stay somewhere relatively warm today, but I'm just kind of kicking myself for how much harder tomorrow's going to be when it wouldn't have to be. And then that next night, how much even closer we could have got to home and made Tuesday really easy. Just a dumb oversight on my part, but we'll have an easy day. Maybe we'll get to see the aquarium. We're going to see how it goes. Well, that was a lot of traffic. We were in pretty much stop and go, slow rolling for at least 40 minutes, maybe closer to 50. So instead of getting here at 4:30, we're getting here at 5:23. So I'm gonna have to check out with the Georgia Aquarium, how far away that is. If that's feasible, it might just be a check-in and go get dinner kind of night. But we'll see. It's down to 55 degrees, overcast and drizzling. Not really hard rain or anything, but much different than Cocoa Beach this morning. And I have a feeling it's just going to keep getting colder and cloudier. I don't know how much cloudier it could get from here, but here is the Comfort Inn, which is where we're staying, in the Comfort Suites. But I see a little 9 on there that there's a supercharger. I'm going to check in, then maybe we'll go plug in while we get dinner. Although there is destination charging here. 2,571 for the day so far, or for the trip. 342 watt-hour per mile. Since the last charge, we have 114 miles, 303 watt-hours per mile at 26% and 5:26 p.m. Let's get checked in. Okay, there is destination charging at the hotel, and there is a supercharger not far away too. So we're gonna go plug in there for 2 minutes just to say we did. We're gonna grab some culvers here. We'll plug in, but we'll charge overnight at the hotel so we can precondition in the morning and have it just be ready to roll. This place is pretty busy, so I'm gonna just be a second here, plug in for a minute, and then head out. 116 miles since our last charge, 305 watt-hours per mile, and we'll finish this up. P3 station, looks like they're building more and more stuff around here. So Dave & Buster's here, and lots of shopping. And it seems pretty lively for a Sunday evening that there would be this much going on. It says it must be a relatively popular place. There's a lot of construction and dirt moving over there, and then there's the Dave & Buster's. But then over there, we're kind of in a triangle of land that seems to be being developed. Odd that they've got the 4 stalls that way, and then 4 sticking out, and then 4 flat again. Just kind of odd layout. It doesn't seem to have any pull-in spots. So we gained a quick 5%, and we'll get out of everyone's way because there do seem to be cars coming in and out of here. So that was the McDonough supercharger. So now that I've done it, it's easy to get there from the hotel, but a little weird on the front end. But we'll come over here, Comfort Inn and Suites, plug in, and slow charge overnight. Nope, somebody else is using it. So I guess we will keep track of that and swap in later if we can. If not, we'll charge in the morning over at the supercharger. Here you can see how close we are from the hotel to the supercharger, so no problem if this one doesn't open up. I popped out to film the destination charger in use, but saw that the driver was still in his car. I tried to make eye contact and let him know that we weren't in a rush or desperate for a charge, but he was on the phone and not looking up. Ironically, probably feeling like I was pressuring him to move. I did get a quick look at the setup with the Tesla destination charger and this J1772 charger for other vehicles. Nice and close to the front door. You gonna run in? Alright, the other car is moved, so we pulled into the charging spot here at the hotel. There was our little supercharging jaunt. I'm not going to trickle charge like I did at the other ones, knowing there are other potential Tesla owners here. I'm just going to let it go full speed, and then I'll set the trip to, set it to 85. That's fine. There are plenty of chargers around here. So here's the destination charger. And we're green there. So all good. So what I was going to say earlier, but I didn't want to be awkward with the guy in his car in the red car, was I could have pulled into this spot where the Clarity plug-in hybrid is, but because that is for all EVs, that's a J1772, all EVs and PHEVs, with the supercharger so close and plenty in the area, it would be super rude to hog the general charger when other people might use it. I don't feel bad using the Tesla one because I know the other Tesla drivers also have those same options I do. We are getting 48 amps. I'm going to leave that. It says 4 hours, 20 minutes remaining. So I'll wait till dark and then come out and unplug. A knock on PHEV drivers is that they don't plug them in, but I'm really glad to see this one plugged in. About 11 o'clock, just came down to unplug. We're at about 80%, which should give us plenty to get to our first charger in the morning. And somebody else can use it if they need to. Alright, it is 9:03 a.m. Today's our big driving day, and of course we're getting a late start, but we got breakfast at the hotel. Joan got to sleep in a little bit. I got a shower, so that was nice. We're only at 76%. Yesterday, I just kind of let the car figure everything out, and that's the plan today. I really don't know where our charging stops are. I know our end destination, we're going to be in the same place in St. Louis as we were on the way down, but I'm just going to plug in St. Louis, and then when we get close, I'll put in the hotel destination. Gonna go for it, and haven't really preconditioned other than like having the doors open to warm the car up, or get the thing cycling, and doing a little arranging in here for the last few minutes, but ready to hit it. I think we're fresh and ready to go. So, big day today, listening to the EV origin stories on the Living Electric podcast. So Alex and Brandon kind of each did an episode of their EV origin stories, and that's one of the things we talked about in the episode I recorded with Brandon. So hopefully that'll be dropping in the next few weeks, but fun to listen to how they came up. They're both younger than me by a considerable margin. They're talking about watching YouTube in high school, which wasn't a thing for me, but always cool to hear other EV enthusiasts or EV owners' origin story, how they got into it, how, a lot of times they've been wanting something like this since a kid, kind of like me. So interesting, but enough talking about that. I'm going to continue listening, and we're going to get on the road and make the most of this day. Hopefully the weather will clear up a little bit. It's pretty cloudy, and we'll see some good sights along the way as well. And just as I put the navigation into St. Louis, we started preconditioning for our first stop, which is an hour and a half away in Adairsville, Georgia. So not crazy that we're preconditioning already. That was kind of the issue coming down here, but hopefully with the weather being as warm as it is here, 50 degrees, it'll just precondition to get at a good temp and then stop. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. A little odd, but I'll let it go. We aren't in a place where we need to conserve charge yet. I'll let this roll, see how it behaves. One of the amazing things about road tripping is you really get a feel for the geography and the land. And I don't think I mentioned this as we were coming south, but you could really tell when we left Dave in Asheville, and then he was talking about, we're going down this big grade, and it did just continue out into eastern Georgia or eastern North Carolina. Then all the way through eastern Georgia, you're kind of on this delta, not marshland, but kind of this really relatively flat floodplain in comparison to the mountains. And much of Florida is that way. And then after we left Orlando, we went further inland as we started coming north. And you can kind of see you're on the kind of the spine of Florida as it rises back up. And then now, as we're getting really to Atlanta last night, and now through and headed up toward Chattanooga, you really start feeling you're going up those rolling hills, and you're kind of coming out of that low area, that we're used to just seeing on a map. But you feel it, and you can see the changes as the elevation slowly starts to rise here. And now we're starting to see some peaks in the distance as things are starting to pile up. I think it just gives you a much better appreciation of the land, the ecology, the geography. When you're looking at a map, those bump marks look a little real, and the different colorations. You have a better sense of what that actually feels like, and understanding the other different types of environments people live in. This is just a very visceral, it's right there. When we stop, we can get out and touch it and smell it. Kind kind of situation. So part of the reason that when it's possible, I do like to drive. So interestingly here, we've been preconditioning all the way since leaving the hotel, but it's obviously not preconditioning too hard, because even now going up some substantial hills, we're still averaging 310 watt-hours per mile for the last 30 miles. So it must just be doing some light preconditioning, maybe waking up some of the colder cells or evening out the pack or something, I don't know, but it definitely doesn't seem to be having the impact it has in the cold weather. And we're only up to 51 degrees, so it's not that warm. We are waiting at a stoplight to get on into Adairsville. We're up in the hills now. We got about 32%. Beta just did a nice move of getting in the left-hand turn lane, then realizing there were two and getting into the correct one for our next turn, so that's good. Gonna get a charge, gonna restock some of the front seat supplies from the cooler in the back. Can't tell if this is a V2 or V3 station, so we'll see. Hopefully I'm not sharing someone's power, but we'll plug in and find out. 2,663 into the trip, 90 miles on that leg. Went from 76% to 32. This is V3, so won't be sharing power. That's nice. The Supercharger is right off the highway and tucked behind a Taco Bell, but there are lots of other food options around. Scottish lunch over there. Okay, there are the Superchargers. You got Taco Bell, Zaxby's, Burger King, BP on this side. And then Waffle House. We went into the little food mart here. Small, but has the basics. Restrooms are for customers only. They want you to be very clear on that, with about 20 signs, but we just grabbed a soda and some more M&Ms and we're ready to roll. All right, 10:57, charged up to 84%. Looks like our next stop is Manchester, Tennessee, so wants to be there for 50 minutes. That's too long. We'll see how that goes. We should get there with about 20% and figure it out from there. As we hit the road for Chattanooga, that's where we'll end it for today. Next time we'll start with our drive up Lookout Mountain for an amazing view, then bring some of this warm weather with us north through the Midwest and home to Minnesota. We'll dig into the stats and compare the way home with our 2020 trip in a 2015 Model S. Like and subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.